everybody. Good morning. Welcome to a Sunday edition of Morning Scone, presented by Brock, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Tigers win. LSU beats Texas A&M in dramatic fashion, 27-24, and I am certain none of you want to talk about that today. I am so tired. I was up so late last night. Oh man, I was up so late last night. So first of all, great game. Well, let me not say great game. Or great effort by LSU, in particular defensively, to make it a game. Tigers got themselves a lead, and defense was able to hang on and give the offense a chance late, and Max Johnson and Jeray Jenkins came through. So I know everyone wants to start with the coaching stuff. We'll get to that in a second. I said this all on Whiskey and Wine. I'll say it again. I believe the balance of power. I believe in the balance of power, and I believe you need to. That for LSU, beating A&M last night is significant because even in a year where LSU's down and A&M was supposed to be a contender, when you still find a way to beat that team, I think that's with all the players you were missing and all that stuff, I still think that's significant because that's an A&M team that has the ability and has the resources to be a power in the SEC. And I thought defensively LSU's effort was great. LSU outgained A&M. They out first downed A&M. They had more passing yards, had more rushing yards, had more time of possession. I mean, LSU won the stat sheet. They protected the football. There were no turnovers in the game. They made gutsy calls when they needed to. LSU was 2 of 2 on fourth down. Had one early in the game on the first possession that led to a field goal. The Jack Besh catch late in the game, which kept the game-winning drive alive. Just great. I thought LSU put forth an awesome effort and good for them. And that means LSU's bowl eligible and all that stuff, which is great. Very, very excited about that. So, so we're watching Postgame, and we're all assuming, we're all watching, or we're doing Postgame and watching Bedlam and thinking, man, if Okie State does us a favor and beats Oklahoma and rallies, we're gonna get to see a Lincoln Riley decision. We got a Lincoln Riley decision. Shortly after the game at Bedlam, Lincoln Riley was asked about it, and his quote was, "Let me stop you right there. I'm not going to be the coach at LSU." That is what we call a strong ass denial. I'm not going to be the next head coach at LSU. That is not just a denial. I mean, that is a denial. Remember, there's the non-denial denial, there's the non-denial, there's the denial. That's a denial. Okay. That is a crazy strong denial. So naturally, when we finished Whiskey and Wine, I was on the phone a lot last night and up late, trying to figure out what's going on. And I don't think many people have answers, y'all. That's probably not going to sit well with people because y'all are going to want to know what's happening. Here's what I'm very confident in saying. I'm very confident in saying this with respect to Lincoln Riley. That I know there's some people from the Oklahoma side that are saying this was all media fabrication, this and that. I am very confident in telling you this was not a media fabrication. That LSU made a very, very strong push to make Lincoln Riley their coach. And that let's say this, I'll be very interested to see what comes out in the coming weeks of Oklahoma as far as what Lincoln Riley might be getting to stay put at Oklahoma. And it might not even be a massive salary bump. It may be things like staff pay or support staff resources or things like that. Because I think throughout this process, that was one thing that was very appealing for LSU from Lincoln's side was all of the resources he was going to have from a. I mean, LSU's going to pay assistants. I mean, you know that. But I think for Lincoln, getting assistants paid, getting support staff, etc. I mean, LSU hired an offensive line coach away from Arkansas and paid him $750,000. I mean, you know what I mean? It's crazy. An offensive line coach, LSU will pay. But y'all, one more sort of caveat to that. I'll get to your comments. A lot of them are going very. There's over 500 people. This is going to be by far a record on Morning Scone. Over 500 on Facebook, 240 on YouTube. Thank y'all for watching. Please like the page, share the post, and YouTube smash. Only 36 likes there. Let's smash that like button, please. I'll be very interested from that standpoint to see what Lincoln might get from OU. But the thing, y'all, that I've said endlessly, like every time we talk about this, you've heard me say this, and you're probably going to not want to hear me say it right now. But all the reports about, there was even one last night, God bless. LSU has a deal in principle with Lincoln Riley. I've done too many of these, y'all. I've done too many of these from the LSU hiring side. I mean, they're hiring a football coach right now. They hired a football coach 5 years ago. They went through it in back-to-back years in 15, 16. Just hired a baseball coach, hired a women's basketball coach. Even from the other side, when Texas made a run at Palmineri, when Michigan and the Arkansas rumors with Les Miles in 2012. I mean, been through this too many times, y'all. Like, you have to consider who is leaking you information and why. You have to double, triple, quadruple check information. And until a coach is standing at the podium being introduced, it's not over. And I'm telling y'all, man, unfortunately, a lot of people learn those lessons the hard way. But listen, I will give you one more tidbit. I'll give you sort of as an aside. The other thing that I was told last night was everyone's going to be happy, meaning LSU fans, with the hire. And y'all, you can't say that everyone would be happy with any of the tier 2 candidates that have been discussed, right? You can't say that everyone would be happy with Bill O'Brien or Mark Stoops or Matt Campbell, or you fill in the blank. You know what I mean? Like whoever that would be. You can't say that everybody would be happy with that. So, I mean, is it possible that Scott Woodward has an ace in the hole somewhere? You know, that he's got someone in his back pocket. You know what I mean? Maybe. But if he does, I'll tell you this. If Scott Woodward is about to hire somebody that we have not discussed, and I'll tell y'all this. I was having a conversation late last night with someone, like around 1:30 in the morning. And it was like, well, look, what candidates could it be that we're not considering? And I literally said to this person, I've had that conversation with 10 different people that I trust. Like, is there, like, just to dot your I's, cross your T's, is there someone we're not thinking about? And we go through all the same names. I mean, all the same names that all of you do, right? Bob Stoops, Chris Peterson, because of his ties to Woodward. Could he pull Dabo? I mean, all that stuff, right? We've been through all that. And maybe. I mean, at this point, maybe. And I did I did see someone just say, I saw one of the comments pop up and said, here it was Leonard Sarasota. He said, looks as though Bruce Feldman was right along. Can I remind you that Bruce Feldman said Dave Aranda was the front runner for this job? Dave Aranda was never considered for this job. Like, ever. Dave Aranda did not get an interview for this job. Neither did Billy Napier. Neither of those two men were interviewed for this job. And my thing about it is, man, you don't get to bat 500. When you are a reporter and you're trying to break news, you don't get to bat 500. Because then, in my opinion, it's a coin flip every time you open your mouth. So, I'm not knocking Bruce, but he's one of many in this whole search that have, had their have taken their cuts. Anyway, all right. We're brought to you by Brock, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. Locations all over the greater Baton Rouge area. Of course, the after-hours clinic is open on weekends, so bypass the ER, head to Brock. Quick shout-out for Hudco Roofing. Me and my partners at Hudco. Thrilled and excited for everybody. Hang on one second. Sorry. Hang on one second. Drew's backpack's beeping. Hang on one second. I'll be right back. Sorry. If you need a roof, post item, call Hudco. HudcoRoofing.com. We got materials, we got labor. We're fired up to help anybody. So HudcoRoofing.com. Fill out the contact form. We'd be happy to help. All right. I'll do my best to get through. These comments are like scrolling super fast. I'll try to get to them. I'm probably gonna scan more than sit here and read every one, because with 1,000 people watching, I probably won't be able to get to every comment like we normally would. So, all right. Trivia Carter, Alex Barnes. Stoops, all right, Christian said Stoops says he's staying at Kentucky, Riley staying at OU, someone ain't telling the truth. So Mark Stoops' denial was far less convincing. Mark Stoops, after the game, said, I plan on being here. I plan on going to work tomorrow, yada, yada, yada. I'm going to recruit a great class. He didn't, I'm trying to get the exact quote, but he said he absolutely plans on being here at Kentucky, yada, yada, yada. It was your classic non-denial denial. And I'll say this, man. I know Scott Woodward likes Mark Stoops, and I know there's a strong contingent for that. But I was also told that everyone will be happy with this hire. And everybody's not going to be happy with Mark Stoops. So, if it's him. Let's see. Pat Huseman, good morning. Philip Jeanfro, not hungover, Philip. Very tired. I didn't go to bed till very late last night. Did T-Bob send you a drunk text? He did not. Tim Gotro, what's going on? Yeah, shout out Jure Jenkins. Great game last night for Jure. in his senior night game to have a career day, 8 catches, 169 yards, 2 touchdowns. Good for him, man, including the game winner. Just an awesome day. Joey Vincent, good seeing you last night, man, for sure. Thanks to everybody who came out to Whiskey and Wine, not only last night, but all season, man. Just a great crowd. We're very grateful for everyone who's made that such a part of their routine now and how that show has grown. So, Stephen Upshaw, good morning. Let's see, here you go. So the LSU job is considered so great, but nobody wants it. Penn State is a more desirable destination than LSU. So here's what I would say. I would say it's important that you let it play itself out. It's not that it's not fair to say LSU that people don't want the LSU job, because a lot of people do want the LSU job very badly, but there has to be a reciprocal nature there. And if you're Scott Woodward and you're aiming high, well, when you're fishing in a very small pond, right, it's more difficult to convince people to take your job. So when they already have a great job. So sifting through what are the pain points at your current place that could get you away, that's the key. And that's what they were walking down the road with Lincoln. And clearly, based on Lincoln Riley's comments last night, that he's not going to be the coach at LSU, tells you he got what he wanted from Oklahoma. And sometimes that happens. I'll go back and tell you all, if you're referring to like Mel Tucker, I don't think Mel Tucker was ever I'll tell you flatly, Mel Tucker was never Scott Woodward's top choice. And I think James Franklin was very quickly scratched off the list after initial contact was made and it didn't go well. Some of you are asking about Lane Kiffin. I mean, at this point, I wouldn't rule out anything, but I'll tell you this, Lane Kiffin is a Sexton client, and there's a lot of people on Jimmy Sexton's team that are as perplexed as anyone because they don't really seem to know what's going on, which kind of leads you to believe it's not a Sexton client, which is why a lot of people were looking going, okay, I mean, the Lincoln stuff makes sense. Dabo is represented by the group out of Birmingham. You start thinking, all right, who are the major coaches that aren't represented by Sexton? There's not many. Tommy Howard, good morning. Joseph Armato. Let's see. Lenny. I think laying on his horn outside my house. Kat said, seems like blind faith in Woodward is fading. I would put it to you this way. Just look at the example of what we just went through in baseball. I could probably scroll back and find a lot of comments that are very similar to that. As the baseball search was going on, and it seemed like, man, are they zeroed in on Mike Bianco? And that would have been disappointing for a lot of people. And instead they landed Jay Johnson, and everyone's really pumped about that. So I would say before you get to that conclusion, let's see how it goes. Ryan Dixon, you use an analogy that it's never done like buying a home. It seems LSU has asbestos, and every time a coach looks at the home, finds there's toxic culture and stays put. I don't believe that's true, Ryan, but what I do believe this, and I think this is something that's interesting, and I do believe that it's possible that you have some coaches looking at LSU, and again, I'm hypothesizing here. I want to be clear about that. That when you fire a coach that won a national championship 2 years after he won the championship, when you fire Les Miles after he won a championship and played for another, like there might be some coaches looking going, do I really want to be part of that pressure cooker? I mean, there was one very high-profile coach in particular that I know of that had that reaction. Just one. And there might be more. Let's see. Kirk Taylor, what's up? Chris Robertson, Scott Woodward is dangerously close from losing confidence to this fan base and boosters. If it's Stoops or Bill O'Brien burning this thing down. What if it's Bob Stoops? I did tell y'all that my opinion was that I thought Lincoln Riley was the guy, and that they'd make an offer and he would accept. Looks like that's not going to happen, and that I said Scott Woodward's floor, I believe, is Mark Stoops' floor. The guy knows would take the job no matter what. What if it was just Stoops and I interpreted Mark Stoops? What if it was really Bob? That would be fascinating. And I would probably kick my own ass if that were the case. I'm just thinking out loud, by the way. I'm externally processing, so please don't make anything of this. But if they do hire Bob Stoops, and I just interpreted Stoops as Mark Stoops, instead of asking Mark or Bob, I might kick my own ass. Oh, man. Anyway. Dan Stowers, what's up? Where is GameCoin headed? Any good news or updates to share? We broke 10,000 holders. What's next? All great stuff, man. Platform is being developed. More ambassador athletes, conversations like that happening every single day. Donations being given out. I'm fired up about it. Every day there's progress. More people onboarding, more exchanges coming. All great stuff. TheGameCoin.net, TheGameCoin.net, TheGameCoin.net. Learn more about it. Wayne Lights. Keep seeing Matthew Wheeler, keep seeing Joe Brady. Do you trust a guy who hasn't been a head coach at a big school? No, I don't, actually. And that would be interesting, But again, I think the real challenge there would be he's in the NFL. And how do you pull a coach who's got to finish out another 7 weeks? You can't. I just don't know how you do that. So going the NFL route, I think is very difficult. Just very difficult. And the other thing too that was really known is that Joe Brady did not love recruiting. Like he wanted to get back to the NFL game. So now, if LSU's throwing out the kind of money they're talking about, it'll get anybody's attention. But, Patrick Kimmery. I thought Lincoln Riley was a done deal. Do I need to say it again? Do I need to say it again for the bajillionth time? Until that coach is wearing a purple tie on the plane, flying to Baton Rouge for the press conference, it ain't never done. It's never done. Let's see. Bob Stoops is right. I'm not saying Bob Stoops is right. I'm externally processing. Where are we? Let's see. What if it's Tebow? All right, this has jumped the shark. Facebook has jumped the shark. I'm tired. I need to go back to sleep. Matt, when you make that look, just place your pinky in the corner of your mouth. Little Dr. Evil. Chris Lee, sports journalist around LSU, are as accurate as the weatherman. It's been everybody who's had reports about this search. Everyone with their list of finalists, everyone with their who's in, who's out, flight tracker, all that stuff. But I'll tell you this, you know the one person that nobody's heard a word from? Scott Woodward, the guy that's going to make the decision. To his credit, man, he has got a crazy good poker face. Let's see. This is like a soap opera, and I can't get enough. Once this is all over, I'll have to resume my actual life. Wayne Lights, is Dave Aranda untouchable? Do you believe he would be good? He might be really good, Wayne. But he might be good. But the thing that I'll tell you all along is, Dave Aranda, I don't believe has been interviewed for this job. Like, I don't think Scott's looking to hire a guy that's in his second year as a head coach. Was Jamie Chadwell given any consideration? That's the Coastal Carolina coach. I do not believe so, Kyle. Stephen Godey, Matt, what happened to the done deal with Riley? Hold on. No. Please, I'm begging you to go find somewhere where I said it was a done deal. I'm begging you. Go find that. Please go find where I said it's a done deal. Find that, bring it to me, I'll apologize. Please, I'll wait. I'll stay here all fucking day. Go find that. Excuse me. Sorry, I know it's morning Scone. No cursing on morning Scone. I'll wait all day. I'm not going to let you take that because I go to painstaking lengths every time I open my mouth. I go to painstaking lengths to be abundantly clear. What you interpret is your problem, not mine. What you interpret, that's on you. If you want to take a morsel of what I say and extrapolate it and assume certain things, that's on you. That ain't on me. I've gone to painstaking lengths over and over and over again to say it's not done until it's done. It's never done until it's done. I even went so far as to tell you there was no formal offer. Go listen last night on Nightcap was going, or on Whiskey Watch, there's no formal offer that had gone out. You are not gonna pin that on me. You said, if you're gonna come at me and say you said, you better have your knives sharpened, bro. Because I go to painstaking lengths to make sure that I tread very carefully whenever we talk about things like this. Come on. Did I think they'd get a deal done with Riley? Absolutely. They were offering that man more than $12 million a year. And staff control and all. You can make him the highest paid coach in North America. I said, who would turn that down? I wouldn't turn that down. That was my opinion. Apparently he got what he wanted from Oklahoma. Thank you, Trivia Carter. Y'all hit the like button. 700 watching now. Hit the like button. Casey Andrews, nothing wrong with cursing in the morning. It's not that, Casey. It's just that morning scone is a culture we've created. I mean, this is, for a lot of people are probably finding this for the first time. This is episode 1344. We've done this for 1,344 consecutive days now. Like every morning, usually in the 7 a.m. Central Time hour, around 7:30 or so, we fire up a 20-minute live stream. And on weekends, we usually go longer. But anyway, like nightcap is say pour whiskey and say what you want. Morning scone is way more like, hey, people are you have their kids and you're having breakfast and all that sort of stuff. So that's why. Let's see. Bentley Spears disappointed in the 20K they left at halftime. It wasn't raining that much. I kind of get it, man. Listen, thank you, Kevin Sparks. Never said it was a done deal for this exact situation. Bingo. Never said that. Let's see. You know, to the person about the fans that left at halftime. Listen. My take on that has always and will always be, I'm never going to crush fans. for what they choose to do with their time and money. If you want to buy a ticket and no show, that's your prerogative. You want to buy a ticket, show up late and leave early, that's your prerogative. It's your free time. It's your money. You don't want to sit in traffic. You don't want to sit in the rain, cold, watch a 6-6 football team or a 5-6 football team. I'll never crush it. I don't want someone telling me what I should do with my free time. I'm not going to tell you what you should do with yours. So, I mean, you know. So, anyway, I can understand if, as a fan, if you were there, if you were frustrated about people that left. I just can't crush fans for that. I mean, it was cold, it was rainy, it's a Saturday night, you don't want to sit in a bunch of traffic, it's a 5-6 football team. I don't blame you. And if you want to stay the whole time, that's awesome. Alan Hurd, morning, Matt. My Ags sucked. Max outplayed Zach. Loss ended up crashing TexAgs website. Are you serious? Did it really? I saw Billy Lucci's tweet after the game where he was upset about the kickoff. So, or the punt at the end where Trey Palmer. I don't know if you were how closely you were watching, but when LSU gained possession on what ended up being the game-winning drive, Trey Palmer kind of came near the sideline, and the Texas A&M player ripped the ball away from Palmer, and they blew it dead. And when you watch it back, it was close, but I can also understand how if you watch it back, you can go, "Oh, that was close," but I can also understand how real time the officials sort of thought progress was stopped and blew it dead. But man, that was close. But anyway, my guy Billy Lucci was crushing the SEC officials last night for blowing the whistle dead on that. So anyway, where are we? John DeRoche, no F-bombs when eating scones and scones. My bad, John. I'm sorry. I let one slip. Buddy Bond, this is going to kill our recruiting. Actually, buddy, I fundamentally disagree with that. Yesterday was a really good day for recruiting for LSU. Had some pretty big time prospects, including Jacoby Matthews at Tiger Stadium. I understand that went really well. And there's another kid kind of out of the that Tangipahoa area who I think it's might be committed to Mississippi State right now. I don't know his name, but he's a big long athlete who's I think a 3-star is committed to State who they're very high on. I think they have a good chance of getting him. The coaching staff is going to go recruit this week. So I don't think this is going to kill recruiting. The thing I will say is you typically do, when you have a coaching change, you typically do have a down recruiting class. It's just the nature of how it goes because of the uncertainty and guys want their spot. And they try to make, you know what I mean? It's just whoever comes in is coming in late. So I think it's unavoidable. Like you're going to lose guys you didn't anticipate losing. And you're probably going to get some guys too that maybe you weren't in on before who comes because of the new coach. So I think they'll be good. What bowl game do you think we get in? We talked about this a little bit last night on Whiskey and Wine. So first of all, I mean, I have no idea. Like none of that's been decided as of right now. I mean, no one knew what team's going to be bowl eligible. But what I will tell you is that there are 13 SEC teams are bowl eligible. Vanderbilt's the only one that's not bowl eligible. The SEC does not have 13 bowl tie-ins, but you better believe that all 13 SEC schools are going to go to a bowl game. So, after the committee places playoff New Year's Six, the highest ranked SEC team not in the playoff or the New Year's Six goes to the Citrus Bowl. And then the rest of the bowl tie-ins are all this sort of homogenous blob where they just place the league and the partners all place teams with what would be the best TV deals, best matchup. So that's why things like the Texas Bowl or the Birmingham Bowl might make sense. Did see a projection last week for the Liberty Bowl, which I think would be cool. That could be a day trip. It's like a 5:45 p.m. kickoff on a Tuesday, the 28th. So, Tuesday after Christmas, people could make a day trip up to Memphis, watch the game, go out on Beale Street, spend the night in Memphis and come on back. But I think that would be cool. And I wouldn't rule out Shreveport. The SEC no longer has a direct tie-in with Shreveport, but that's a very Independence Bowl would be a possibility for sure, if for nothing else for attendance purposes. That's probably in that mix. Where are we? The A&M fans were melting on Twitter about the officials. It was hilarious. Justice has been served from 2018. There were a lot of people who said that, with some of the calls. Jeray Jenkins, maybe a little baby push-off last night, a little pro push-off. If it was Jimbo, he did not interview well last night. Michael Thibodeau, thoughts on Mario Cristobal? I mean, at this point, you have to consider anything, right? But I'll tell you flatly that I hadn't heard Cristobal's name. I think LSU made a very, very strong push for Lincoln Riley, and clearly, I said this earlier. I'll repeat it for those who just joined us. There's almost 1,000 people watching on YouTube. Thank you all so much for watching. That's awesome. That we will find out, and by the time this comes out, you may not care anymore because LSU will have a coach in place or whatever, but by the time this comes out, pay attention to what Lincoln Riley, I wouldn't even say necessarily his salary, but what he's going to get for his staff. If it turns out, and it seems like it has, that Lincoln leveraged LSU's attention to get more out of OU, that would be massively disappointing. Because LSU's been down that road before, and it never feels good to be used for something like that. But it's also why it's important to note that ain't over till it is. So let's see what Scott lands on. Oh, that's cool. Kevin Toller said Walker Howard was there with the number 9 Burrow jersey on. That's really cool. Aaron Guidry. Matt, what are the chances a new coach can re-recruit Ricks and Brennan? Good question. I think whoever the new coach is, the first thing you have to do is re-recruit your roster. I'm not so sure about Miles Brennan. It kind of feels like Brennan is... it kind of feels like Brennan... And by the way, I've not spoken to Miles or any of his family members or anything like that. But just my understanding of that situation is he's kind of just looking for a clean break, just a fresh start where he's going to be guaranteed a starting job because he's got 1 year left to play. And if he came back to LSU, with a new coach, he'd have to compete for the job with Johnson and Walker Howard and Nussmeier if he's back, or a transfer that comes in. You know what I mean? Anyway, I don't know necessarily that Walker Howard or that, Miles Brennan coming back would be a real possibility. I would say you got to re-recruit Ricks, but I know a big part of that was that he was sort of miffed at the lack of NIL deals for him. Stingley got a lot of them, and Ricks didn't get any, and yeah, that was a big part of it. I don't think I know, and I think Ohio State has already, come forward with some of those opportunities. So, can LSU, if you're going to keep someone like Ricks, you better have NIL deals in your back pocket to keep him to stay. Put it to you that way. Timothy Crouch, Independence Bowl would be perfect, especially for me. I live near Independence Bowl. Very cool. I think that's going to be the case for a lot of people if it happens that. Someone saying they saw projections of like the Gator Bowl. I mean, look, Jacksonville would be awesome. I, you know. Mark Dubé, good morning. Lenny Hawk for the HUDCO jingle. I'll probably spare everyone the HUDCO jingle this morning, considering there's 838 people watching on YouTube and 575 on Facebook. You know what? What the hell? We all need a little levity. Let's do it. Y'all ready? Here we go. Here we go.
When you need a roof, call someone you know. Scone and Terrio. All you need is HUDCO. Call HUDCO Roofing. 364
That's so ridiculous. All right, if you need a roof, HUDCOroofing.com. Or you can email me directly, matt@hudcoroofing.com. I'm happy to help. We got y'all, I mean, especially down the Bayou area. If y'all are in the Bayou area, Houma, Thibodaux, even greater New Orleans, River Ridge, Luling, all those areas, man, a lot of Laplace, of course, a lot of those areas still struggling, man. Maybe still got a blue tarp on your house. We have materials, we have crews ready to roll, so give us a shout, we can get to you. HUDCOroofing.com, HUDCOroofing.com. Your viewers will go down after that. I don't know. We're still hanging strong, over 800. 800 on YouTube and 519 on Facebook. So we're still up there, man. Thomas White, good morning. Hope you and the family had a nice Thanksgiving. Thank you, Thomas. I appreciate that. Danny Clue said, do you think Riley has his eyes on the NFL? I tell you, I have had convos with some people at OU who cover OU, who their feeling has been like his next jump, like that he'll never coach in the SEC, that he'll be in the NFL before he jumps to the SEC, before OU makes it into the SEC. So like, let's see. Let's see. So 2025 is under the current media rights. So it would be 2025 that Texas and OU would come into the SEC. So basically, this person was saying, I mean, next year's 22, 23, 24. So 3 more years before OU and Texas come into the SEC, and some of these people think like he'll never coach Oklahoma in the SEC, that he'll be in the NFL before then. Nick Harrell might be a long shot. What do you think of LSU luring Aranda away from Baylor? Again, like Dave Aranda would take the LSU job in a heartbeat. But you know, there was a report that he's already agreed to a new extended contract at Baylor. And keep in mind also, with Oklahoma's loss last night and Baylor's win, Baylor's now in the Big 12 championship game. So they're playing a game this week, and if Baylor beats Oklahoma State, you know, they're going to the New Year's Six. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's entrenched there now. That's why last night with Oklahoma losing seemed to open the door and clear the path for Lincoln. So Maurice Coleman, good shirt today. Yes, sir. Cali High. Calic and Jesuit Saturday. Fired up for it, man. Saturday at Ullman, I'll be there. Craig Dugas, T-Bob's intro to Whiskey and Wine was everything last night. He's so stupid. If y'all missed Whiskey and Wine, go back and check it out. Shari, what's up, man? Good to see you last night. You need to work HUDCO jingle into Whiskey and Wine next season. I think we can make that happen. Alan Hurd, how can the school offer NIL money for kids not on a roster? Does the NCAA allow that? Great question, Alan. I mean, you get a gold star for the best question of the day. Because there are no rules right now with NIL. you know. But if a kid enters the transfer portal, he can be contacted by another school, and what's to say that you don't have some enticements? Yeah, you all get it. Drew Hurst, good morning. Telly Bettis said, one thing I'm learning through all this coach talk, who is reliable? Y'all, Ross Dellinger. Of all the national media people, have you heard Ross report anything at all? There's something to be said for being right, not being first. I bet you he'll break it when it happens. Clayton Knight, I'm glad you announced the jingle so I can turn the volume down since it's louder than your voice. It is. I have it on like full blast. Let's see. Someone said, do you think Lincoln is definitely out? Look, after his denial last night, I mean, when you say point blank, I'm not going to be the next head coach at LSU, you can't walk that back. I don't know how you walk that back. The denial Mark Stoops gave was far less emphatic. But again, if they're convinced everyone's going to be happy with this hire, that ain't Mark Stoops. You know what I mean? Matt, I know Scott can do nothing when someone turns him down. Maybe many have called this a legacy hire. Hard to say it's a legacy hire if it's not a real big name, but I know it will be a good one, like the Johnson hire. Go Tigers and Hudco. Thank you, Trey. But remember, when you say legacy, it just means that this is what your legacy is going to be attached to, if that makes sense. And like with the benefit of hindsight, we look at Nick Saban, and Saban wasn't at the top of LSU's list when they hired him, in December of 1999. I mean, they were about to start talking to coordinators. Mark Richt was at Florida State at the time as their OC, and they were about to start having that kind of conversation. They'd moved beyond the head coaches after they'd been turned down a bunch. So, but that ultimately, Saban becomes a legacy hire. Because you hire a football coach, that's what it is. Not saying like that it's a great hire. Saban was, obviously, but just, you understand what I mean? Like, I think that's what people mean when they call it a legacy hire, because this is the hire that's going to define Scott Woodward's legacy at LSU, whatever that is, whenever it comes to an end. Oh, did y'all hear that? Somebody tweeted that Clayton Knight mentioned it. And I obviously wasn't in the stadium for Bedlam last night, but apparently at Oklahoma State in Stillwater during one of the breaks, they were playing Call Baton Rouge. That is so good. Grade A troll job. Travis McGraw, positive note, men's and women's basketball cleaned up over the weekend. They did, boot up. Tommy Viendahl, $13 million ain't convincing enough. I'm telling you, I am going to be very interested to see what he got from Oklahoma, because he was only making $7 million a year, relative to the numbers we were talking. I mean, do you realize that the dollar amount that LSU was throwing around, would make. I mean, the highest paid coach in North American sports is Bill Belichick at $12.5 a year. He's the highest paid coach. Excuse me. I mean, you're talking about rarefied air, the type of money LSU's throwing around right now. What did Lincoln Riley get to stay? It will be very interesting. Pomeroy, what's the timeline for LSU to announce its new coach? Well, if it's someone who's still coaching, then you would think. Well, I'll put you this way. I don't know who it could be if it were someone that's coaching in championship week next week, right? So if it's someone that they feel like they've got a done deal already, like if if, let's say they made their run at Lincoln, they missed, and they had their next guy, and they're ready to roll, I mean, I've always said within 48 hours you would have an announcement, you know. So I would think middle of this week. Now, what's your thoughts on the Alabama OC? That's Bill O'Brien. We've kind of gone through this a good bit. Blind resume, I think, is really good. I mean, it's a very strong resume. But I understand there's a lot of people who are off put by his personality and, you know, a lot of the context around him with how it ended with the Houston Texans and all that sort of stuff. And I think Bill O'Brien's a great football coach. I think there would be a lot of people who'd be very disappointed with that hire. Bob Poole, CBS Sports says LSU in the Birmingham Bowl facing UCF. Yeah, I mean, that's the type of, you know, that's the type of bowl you're going to be talking about. If it's the Birmingham Bowl, the Gasparilla Bowl, the Liberty Bowl, potentially the Texas Bowl, the Independence Bowl. I mean, I think that's the pool you're talking about. Kyle Cortez. We let Billy Napier out of the state. We're going to suck for 10 years. I'll put it to you this way. I will say, I don't necessarily do that, but I will say this. If you let Billy Napier walk to Florida, which it appears is the case, which kind of, I mean, I'm using deductive reasoning here, y'all. If you don't even interview Billy Napier or Dave Aranda, and I'm telling you they did not interview Billy Napier. If you don't even interview those guys, you've got to feel like you've got you've got your guy, right? And that's why you keep hearing people say, "Oh, they have their guy," because some of the candidates that people have mentioned here never even got an interview. Like Billy Napier, Dave Aranda, have not been interviewed for this job. And so it's like, man, if you're gonna let Billy Napier walk to Florida, you're not even gonna interview him. You better be really confident in who you got, right? Does that make sense? Let's see. Why are you bringing up Saban? I did text someone last night. I said, I'm going to bed hoping I wake up to a press release announcing that Nick Saban's coming back to Baton Rouge. Mac and John Emery playing the bowl game. I do not believe so, no. Hey, babe. Good morning. Hey, Drew. Drew. Drew, come see. Okay. Oh, man. Matt French, bro, morning Scone with 466 people watching. What's the live record? And Matt French, you're not even seeing the YouTube number, which is 840. So we've got over 1,000 people watching Morning Scone, which is awesome. So Facebook, please like the page, share the post. YouTube, 847 watching, 297 on the likes. Please smash the like button. That's if you're watching on mobile, X out of the live chat, hit the thumbs up. I appreciate that greatly. That helps with. And if you haven't done so yet, I know there's probably a lot of people watching for the first time on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel as well, the Matt Moscone YouTube channel. We appreciate that. I do Morning Scone every day. Nightcap with Scone. We do it here on Wednesday nights, and some of the companion shows and other stuff we do on this YouTube channel. So if you're there, just please smash the like button and subscribe. Jerry Derrigo, is LSU an attractive job? Jerry, when you're willing to pay what LSU can pay, and you have the resources LSU has, of course it's an attractive job. And there are gobs of coaches that would just crawl to Baton Rouge. The challenge becomes, whenever you talk about the best jobs in the country, you kind of start splitting hairs. And how do you differentiate an LSU from, for Riley, for example? How do you differentiate LSU from Oklahoma in Lincoln Riley's eye? Where he's there, he's built that program, he makes $7 million a year, he's been in the playoff. Like, how do you differentiate? There are selling points, but is it enough for him? Apparently not. How about Dan Mullen? LOL, just kidding, creepy dude. Who coaches the bowl game? So they announced that it's. Well, I mean, I did tell you that Orgeron was going to be out. There was just no way they were keeping him around for another month with a new coach coming in. So it's going to be Brad Davis, the offensive line coach, is going to be the interim head coach for the bowl game. Donnie Wright was Lincoln Riley's smokescreen. No, it wasn't. But I do think that Lincoln Riley leveraged the LSU attention to get an interest, to get something more out of Oklahoma. And I have a really good feeling, considering a lot of the conversations centered around staff and support staff and staff pay, that a lot of that's going to change at OU. Again, by the time that might come out, nobody at LSU is going to care anymore, because LSU is going to have a coach and it'll be heading on down the road, and this will be in the past. But we may come back, a week, a month from now, whatever time after the season, and you see announcements of pay raises for Oklahoma assistants and new staff and all that sort of stuff, and go, that was probably what it was. Let's see. What about Todd Monk and the Georgia OC? Yeah, they're going to go bigger than that, man. Bennett sigh, I want Gabe Fertitta. He's at Louisville. Louisville had a good, strong finish to their season, too. That's Lincoln Riley was being honest. He won't be the next coach. It's Brad Davis for one game. A little semantics there, but I get you. Stoops is not worth $100 million. To be very clear, that's what LSU would be willing to pay a coach. If it's someone like that, it won't be $100 million. Brandon Reese, big question is, will Riley get over the hump at OU? I don't think so. Where are we? What will be the biggest hang-up for a coach to not want to risk his career at LSU? I don't know that I understand the question. Ryan Caldwell, Matt, I get it. $100 million is a lot. Is it when James Franklin gets it with the same record as Ed Orgeron? So, Ryan, the big difference is how that deal is structured. Keep in mind, if you look at Franklin's contract, his was 10 years, right? So the per year dollar amount is less. And also, the way they've structured Franklin's deal is that after year 4, his buyout goes to like $1 million. So, yes, it's a 10-year deal, provided he keeps winning. But if he's not, Penn State can get out of that very easily because the buyout's virtually nil. So, it's really like a 4-year contract, what James Franklin got. I mean, he's got tons of stability, provided he wins, but if not, they could get out of it very easily to the tune of $1 million after year 4. Jeb Whitley, do you think NFL coaches might still be in play? I mean, at this point, Jeb, I think it's hard to discredit anything about being in play. It's very hard to imagine that, because I don't think they're going to wait until January for a coach. I mean, the early signing period is middle of December, so you want a coach in place that can come in, recruit, polish off this recruiting class for the early signing period. Ask E-Rock who's going to be the new coach. Matt likes the Saints color rush. I do like the Saints color rush. Ben Davis, Matt, do you like anything about Coach O? Yeah, man, I think he's a great energy guy. I think he's a fantastic recruiter. Very skilled defensive line coach. I think there are things he did very well. Like, I think he was always very in tune with, I think he's very in tune physically with what his team needed to do. Like, he knew when to push him at practice and when to ease up. That's something that Les really struggled with. Les was an old Bo Schembechler mindset guy that just always push harder. When they're tired, push them even harder, sort of thing. And so he had teams that got worn down late in the year. I think Ed was really good at not allowing a loss one week to carry over to the next. That was something else by comparison Les struggled with. Like when they lose to Alabama, you'd see him struggle a lot the next week, more often than not against Arkansas. So yeah, I mean, I think there was a lot that Ed did well. I just think he was very poor at roster management and very poor at hiring assistants, and he didn't handle the stress of the job well. And publicly, I think a lot of his public missteps were very, very costly in perception and with his locker room. He lost his team, man. Once you lose your locker room, it's so hard to get it back, if ever. So anyway, I'm trying to scroll as quickly as I can to get through some of these. Jason Babin, LSU is now a third-tier program. I don't know that when you're tossing around $12 million a year, I don't know that I would call you a third-tier program when you won 3 championships in the last 20 years. Nike Willis, what's up, man? Lou Holtz, oh my God. All right, we have jumped the shark. Oh, God. All right. We might be about done. As always, I'll shout out to Brock. I'll keep scrolling through these comments if we got more. Shout out to Brock, Batonrouge Orthopedic Clinic. They're tagged in the Facebook post if you would like the Brock Facebook page. After Hours Clinic is open. If you need an orthopedist, they're the best. You go to Brock. Locations all over Greater Baton Rouge. And, of course, HUDCO Roofing. HUDCOroofing.com. Do business with someone you know. HUDCO Roofing. HUDCOroofing.com. And who knows? It might just be Ryan Terrio that comes to your house for your adjuster meeting or to do your inspection. Like, literally could be. HUDCOroofing.com. HUDCOroofing.com. I'll say it again. We do have materials. All the shingles that we get are from Certainteed, and their Shreveport plants are manufactured right here in Louisiana. So our supply chain issue is really non-existent. We have materials. We're ready to roll. HUDCOroofing.com. HUDCOroofing.com. All right, let's see. I'm going to go quickly here to get through. We're right at an hour already. Thank y'all so much for watching. Let's see if there's any more we can get to. Dabo and Venables to the rescue. Bro, it's hard to rule out anything at this point, right? Before we go, I'll say this again. If Scott Woodward, let's say, and I don't know this, but hypothetically, let's say they announce a coach today. All right, let's say that Scott's got his guy, they're waiting for the season to end, and they announce it today or tomorrow or whatever. If they have a coach in place and manage to keep the name completely quiet, that will be one of the most impressive jobs I've ever seen. Because in order to get things in line, like finances, or like to pay the coach, you have to talk to boosters to collect the money. And you know boosters say, well, who we hire? And you have to answer those people. You have to talk to an agent to negotiate a deal. And there's always a chance that agent leaks info somewhere, somehow. That coach who accepts it has to talk to assistants, to the family. You know what I mean? Like, it can't ever just be 2 people having a conversation. Like, you have to involve more people. And if you manage to keep something this significant so quiet to where nobody even has the name, that's massively impressive. And I don't think that's the case. But if it is, I will be like, you'll just tip your cap and say, maybe Scott Woodward should just go into the World Series of Poker, because that would be an incredible job. JL Knicks feels like 2015 and 16 were being used for leverage left and right. Hope they get someone good. 15, they weren't being used for leverage. And I still maintain I don't believe they were in 16 either. I believe if Joe Oliva would have actually gotten on the plane and gone and met Tom Herman in Houston, he could have hired him still. But he got pissed and just said, bleep you, I got a guy. And he rushed Ed to the podium. Anyway. Brant Daigle, do you think we see O again somewhere? So, my understanding, talking to people close to Ed, and I've not spoken to him directly because why would he tell me anything, that he's going to take this year off of football, that he has interest in doing some TV, and if he really misses it, he'll get back into coaching next year. We went out shopping for Ferrari, coming home with a minivan. What an analogy. Great morning after LSU's miracle in Death Valley. It was fun. It's fun to beat A&M, man. There's no question. Do you really think Napier is a Florida guy? Yes, I do, Kenneth. I do. Julius Medina, Scone for head coach. I would gladly be hired to be fired. No doubt. What's the holdup about Lane Kiffin? I think he's not a Scott guy. Kevin Sparks. Ryan doesn't prefer AFR and shows up on time. He isn't showing up to no one's house. You want to bet? Kevin Sparks. There's a lot of people that are surprised when Terrius shows up at their house. It happens all the time. Luisa Lebas. What about Brian Kelly? That's a name that was mentioned early in the process. I think that's one that was intrigued and there was mutual interest, and maybe at this point in his career wasn't excited about making a change and jumping into the pressure cooker. Scone for head coach, T-Bob for team mascot. Truax, going to see Hudco tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Big good, Truax. Looking forward to helping you and your mom, man. Aaron Hornsby, Matt, bowl game, Houston or Shreveport. I think Houston, Shreveport, Birmingham, Liberty Bowl in Memphis, Gasparilla Bowl in Tampa, all those would be possibilities. Let's see. Will Matt Campbell end up, or will LSU end up with Matt Campbell? I don't think so, Sean. I know he was one of the names that was mentioned sort of as maybe a late to the party candidate. It seems like there's a lot of interest there with USC now, especially with the Napier ending up at Florida. Riley got spooked. He realized a 3-loss season won't fly at LSU. Matt, are you and T-Bob going to do whiskey and wine for bowl game? Jared, it really depends on the game, right? Like when they play, where they play, all that sort of stuff. What we did, after the national championship game was, because we didn't do a show down in New Orleans after the game, maybe a couple weeks later, Jordy and I just sat on my patio here and did a whiskey and wine, where we replayed, we put the game on TV, rewatch it, and everyone kind of hung out. So that was cool. We may do that. Let's see. I'm trying to get through these, y'all. Appreciate y'all for hanging out with us as always. Great morning. 8:43 still watching there on YouTube. Thank y'all so much. 378 likes. Please smash that like button if you haven't done so yet. Scott's going to get Ryan Day from Ohio. You know what, Alan? I'll tell you this. I think there are 3 coaches or 3 spots where the coach is probably untouchable. It's Nick, Kirby, and Ryan Day. Nick for obvious reasons. And then Kirby and Ryan Day because Georgia and Ohio State are 2 programs similar to LSU in that they are the only Power 5 in a talent-rich state. And they pay, and they have all the resources and all that sort of stuff. So, and I say that again with respect to Georgia Tech, that Georgia Tech is a Power 5, but as a private school, it's not excuse me, they're not really competing for the same players as Georgia is in the way that Alabama and Auburn are. USC, UCLA, Oregon State. You understand? Florida State, Miami, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. There are other programs that might be the only Power Five in their state, but it's not talent-rich state. I mean, look, Michigan State. It's just LSU, Georgia, Ohio State have that distinct advantage. Patrick Kimmerer said Hugh Freeze just agreed to a long-term extension like last week, just like Thursday or Friday with Liberty. Yellow teeth. Oh man. What's the holdup on Kiffin? He's an immature, petulant. The rest of the comment doesn't show up. Justin Hutchinson, Matt, you roast me for that. Obviously, Boy Woody agrees. I don't disagree with you, Justin. I think that's part of it. I think Kiffin, some of the antics, maturity, some of the sort of whispered about off-field behavior. I think all of that's. I'm not roasting. I think all of that's a major contribution to why why Lane hasn't been considered for this job. And talking to some people around Ole Miss too, that he's really miffed why he can't. Like, he didn't get a sniff at Florida, he didn't get a sniff at LSU. Like, why he can't get a look for a bigger job. You're going to possibly invite T-Bob to your house to drink and talk football. Oh, man. Chris Rowland, Stoops is a good coach. That would be a C+ hire when he needs A- or better, or it will be heat. That's the thing that does make me scratch my head. It's like, when you talk to people around LSU, they're like, or the people, be it the very small group of people who seem to be in the know, the only thing that you kind of get is everyone's going to be very happy. Well, everyone is not going to be happy with the list that we're talking about, right? So it makes you wonder, like, does Scott have an ace in the hole? Someone asked about, YouTube asked about Luke Fickell. The only thing that I've heard about Fickell is, and by the way, Fickell is preparing for a conference championship game. So if you were going to if it was Fickell, you wouldn't even make an announcement until next week. But especially since he has his team on the cusp of a playoff, I don't know how it's Fickell, right? The other thing too, with respect to Luke Fickell, the word seems to be that he's a Midwestern guy that doesn't want to leave the Midwest. That would rather hold out for an Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame, Penn State type job. And also, because Cincinnati, remember, is going into the Big 12, he feels like he's a Power 5 coach already. And he's a guy that, I think he and his wife have 6 kids, including like 2 sets of twins. And so that they kind of like their lifestyle there in the Midwest. That's why a lot of people were tying him to USC, and I think that wasn't really a strong possibility for him. So Ben Giat, T-Bob so delivered on the opening of Whiskey and Wine. Oh, man. All right. Let's see, joining late, is Riley officially out after last night's comments? I don't know how you walk that back, right? If you're Lincoln Riley, I don't know how you say so definitively, I'm not going to be the next head coach at LSU, and then walk that back. So, is Jerry Faust still alive? Oh my God. I appreciate everyone's levity. I really do. Those of you who are having fun with this, I do appreciate the levity. Let's see. Let's see. All right. Mark Cristobal. I think it's Mario. Maybe Mark's his brother. Anyway, sorry, I'm trying to, okay. now we've gone to the unfrozen head of Bear Bryant. Like, we're not gonna, I think we're done. All right, y'all. Ryan, Amanda, Gidry, great show this morning. Let's go get the right coach. I appreciate the positive attitude, positive vibes. We'll see. Y'all, I thought Lincoln would say yes. I don't know how someone turns down the type of money that LSU was throwing at him. And apparently he did. So my pick was wrong. We'll see who it'll be. Best bourbon under $50. Bourbon under $50. Elijah Craig small batch. I mean, there's other really good ones that are just hard to find, but go try Elijah Craig small batch. All right, y'all. Have a great, great Sunday. I'm going to shower, go to church, and pray for this to be over soon. Is Al Pacino available? All right, we're done. Y'all have an awesome day. As always, shout out to Brock. One more time, they're tagged in the Facebook post. HUDCO Roofing, HUDCOroofing.com. Smash the like button there on YouTube. Thank you so much for being there. We appreciate it. Y'all have a great, great Sunday. Peace.